Hello everyone, welcome to CIS277, and this is Bob. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Just a few things about what we're going to do this week, or any week, depending on when you're actually getting this. You should be finishing up on your first assignment for Python. I don't got the number in front of me, but I believe it's assignment 6, where I had you writing a Python program, and what I've done is I've posted assignment 7, which is another Python program, albeit maybe a little bit more complicated than the first one. So that's posted. You guys got the link, and you can take a look at it and make sure. Now, this week is kind of more of the same. I don't have really anything more for you as far as one of my demos go. Usually what I do is I give you a demo of Java or Oracle or Python or something like that. So I don't have one of those this week because it's kind of continuing where you left off with your last Python assignment. But it's a little bit more complicated, where I have you writing that you wrote a program in Java to use interest and to do some simple arithmetic. So I want you to write that in Python. Now there's a couple things that I'm kind of emphasizing here that I'm hoping that you guys will notice a little bit. What I want to do is, like, this week is, rather than just writing this stuff and getting it to work, I want you to start thinking about how these different languages differ. And some of you are already getting it. I got some really good feedback from you guys, either working with you guys one-on-one or via you guys turning in your assignments, that Python seems to be a little bit glitchy or works differently or crazy. Guess what are some words that you used? Bizarre. That works a little bit differently than Java, and that's actually true. Now, one thing that happens in Python that doesn't happen in Java, or vice versa, or how they work differently, is Python, when you declare a variable, it's not strongly typed, which means that behind the scenes, Python doesn't give it a data type. You need to give it the data type and assign a value to it. So behind the scenes, Python uses by reference to assign variables. Like, what will happen is, just like in the languages such as C, where you define a memory location and you name it, and that memory location will hold the value of the variable, and then your variable is just a pointer to that memory location, where Java basically doesn't do that. It does everything kind of by value, meaning that it doesn't point to a memory location, it uses it directly. Now, this is all like alpha geek stuff, or alpha geekette stuff, depending on how you look at it. So the more you dig into these languages, the deeper you're going to be getting into the internals of it. So that's kind of one of the things I want to emphasize. I mean, you don't got to memorize what I just said about by value, by reference, but just know that the more that you dig into these languages, the more you're going to have to find out about internally how they work. Especially when you get started out, a lot of us seem to think that these languages are just kind of like big calculators. Oh, okay, we'll just declare 3 variables, A, B, and C, and have C equal to A times B squared, or something like that. And then when we do that, sometimes weird things happen, right? You look at, wait a second, we got all these decimal points, or I assign a value to a variable, and then I try to assign it again, and it doesn't seem to forget the first one. Believe it or not, that's how it's supposed to be working. What we've done, as the IT industry, is we've kind of bulletproofed these languages a lot, meaning that we do a lot of these things that beginning programmers don't need to know about. You'll hear the term, convenience method, or for convenience. That just basically means that what's happened is, the authors of the language, put things in to make things work like we think that they should. And some languages are a little bit harder to work with than others. Java, again, being a fairly easy language to work with when you're doing variable assignment. Python, not so much. Python, it's a little bit more glitchy. So while you're doing the assignment, while you're doing, the second Python assignment I gave you, I want you to be thinking about that. I don't want you to necessarily Well, I do. I want you to, to think about what you need to do to get it to work. But in addition to that, I'm trying to grow your knowledge a little bit and trying to get you to understand that things aren't always as easy as they might seem. And if things are glitchy, sometimes it's because you're doing it wrong. Sometimes the language works differently. If you start getting to that point, you're really making an evolution as, as a budding software engineer. Seriously. I mean, a lot of you, I'm already seeing that growth where you're like, wait a second, I'm using standard in on these Java variables and it's working like this. And I'm using standard in on these Python variables and it's working differently. Okay, good. You're noticing that variable declaration and variable assignment works differently in Python. Good. You've learned something. You learn a lot by noticing how things work differently sometimes rather than learning by getting something to work. Now, you guys aren't beginners anymore. You're really at the point where you know the basics of languages, right? I mean, even if you've had languages before this, I'm assuming that none of you at all have had more than 1 or 2 or 3 years experience, probably less than that, working with these different languages. But you're at the point now where you can kind of look at a language and get the syntax of it and get it to work. Like, for example, if I gave you, like later, I'll give you a program like in Ruby, and I'll give you the rules. I'm like, this is how you define a Ruby method. Here's how you call it. Here's how you assign variables, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. You'd be able to write a simple Ruby program, but you might not notice, or you might notice that some things in Ruby work a little bit differently than they work in Python and they work in Java. And again, that's the point. The point is through all of this is that kind of grow your knowledge on the kind of the internals of these languages and exposing you to them a little bit. That's something that you learn as you go too. So it's not like, we'll have an obsession on it. We're like, okay, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to learn the differences between Java and Python, but it's something that you grow organically as you're working with these different languages. Now that's going to be important with scripting when you especially when you get in the different operating systems. If you're doing like PowerShell, which we're going to do a little bit later. If you're doing Linux scripting, which we're not going to do later, just because we just don't have the virtual machines to get everyone up and going. But we'll have a video on it. I might even put a demo on that. But anyway, so that's the big picture, the reason behind the exercise is I want you to notice those things that sometimes when you're tearing your hair out and you're banging your head against the keyboard, there's a reason for it. I mean, you're noticing things aren't working the way things should be working or the way, I would say the way you expect it to work. That doesn't mean it's not working. That just means that you expected something to work differently. And then you have to go through the whole troubleshooting. Am I doing it wrong? No, I don't think I'm doing it wrong. Maybe something is working differently than it should be or how I would expect it to work. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. So, please dig in to your reading. I got some good viewing. I got some good viewing for you on Python. Like I said, I didn't put together one of my demos for you because your viewing pretty much covers it. I just don't want to waste our time on just duplicating things that are already out there and readily available for you to go. That way I can concentrate my time and focus my time on one-on-one with you guys when you need it. So anyway, that's all I had for you for now. So thank you for listening. Thank you for getting this far. And be safe. And I bid all of you a very well rest of the day. Thank you.